Hi, I'm Michael. This is Lessons from the Screenplay.
You ordered the code red! You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
Everyone knows the famous line that comes next. And even if they haven't seen the movie, most people probably understand that this scene is from a courtroom drama with a lot of gavel banging and lawyers yelling, "Objection!
Objection!
But most people probably don't think about this line as the climax of an epic battle. In his book, The Anatomy of Story, John Truby writes, "The battle is the final conflict. It should give the audience the clearest expression of what the two sides are fighting for. It occurs in the smallest space possible, which heightens the sense of conflict and unbearable pressure." So today, I want to look at how screenwriter Aaron Sorkin constructs a battle, to examine how the script establishes compelling stakes and defines both the battleground and weapons used to fight, and to discover how increasing the pressure on the central characters results in an unforgettable climactic explosion.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Let's take a look at A Few Good Men. At its heart, A Few Good Men is a courtroom drama about a complex legal case that entangles the lives of everyone involved. So in order to keep the audience invested in the trial's outcome, A Few Good Men must first establish crystal clear and compelling stakes for the central characters.
All right, let's go. Let's get to.
When we first meet the protagonist, Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee, we learn that he's a slick plea negotiator who's been assigned to work out a deal for two Marines so they won't have to go to trial.
Commander, Lieutenant Kaffee is generally considered the best litigator in our office. He's successfully plea bargained 44 cases in 9 months.
One more, I get a set of steak knives.
The two Marines, Dawson and Downey, have been accused of murder, but they claim they were ordered to take the actions that led to the death of one of their fellow Marines.
We did nothing wrong, sir. We did our job, and if that has consequences, then I'll accept them. But I won't say that I'm guilty, sir.
Unfortunately for Kaffee, his clients refused to accept the plea deal. And if Kaffee can't prove that they were following orders, Dawson and Downey could go to prison for the rest of their lives. In addition to the very real stakes his clients are facing, there's also a risk to Kaffee's professional reputation.
No deal, we're going to court.
Joe, no you're not.
Why not?
Because you'll lose. Even though he's got me by the balls out here, Danny knows that in a courtroom he loses this case.
But there's a more personal layer of stakes for Kaffee as well.
I had the pleasure of meeting your father once. I was a teenager. He spoke at my high school.
Lionel Kaffee?
Yes, sir.
Well, what do you know?
His father was a famous trial lawyer. If Kaffee argues the case and loses, he will have failed to live up to his father's legacy. Throughout the first half of A Few Good Men, screenwriter Aaron Sorkin clearly communicates the stakes for Kaffee and his clients. So we understand exactly what's on the line when Kaffee decides to take the case to trial despite all the risks.
So this is what a courtroom looks like.
But once the case moves into the courtroom, there's something else the audience needs to understand: the battleground. A battleground is essentially a set of rules the characters are not allowed to break, whether that's codes of conduct, boundaries, or which weapons they can use to fight. Courtroom dramas come with a set of rules built in. One person, who is sworn under threat of perjury to tell the truth, takes the stand at a time. The lawyers take turns questioning the witness as they try to sway the jury. All the relevant parties are in a room together but are forbidden from speaking out of turn, and the judge acts as a kind of referee, deciding what he will and will not allow.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained. Watch yourself, counselor.
But this is a military courtroom, with a specific rule that provides a crucial boundary to the battleground in A Few Good Men.
I have an obligation to tell you that if you accuse Kendrick or Jessup of any crime without proper evidence, you're going to be subject to a court-martial for professional misconduct, and that's something that's going to be stapled to every job application you ever fill out.
Kaffee has to prove that his clients were ordered to take the actions that led to someone's death, but he can't simply accuse or even ask their commanding officers whether or not they gave that order, known as a code red. In other words, Kaffee is not allowed to ask the one direct question, "Did you order the code red?" that would prove his clients are not guilty.
To win, Jessup needs to tell the court members that he ordered the code red.
And now you think you can get him to just say it?
I think he wants to say it. I think he's pissed off that he's got to hide from us. I think he wants to say that he made a command decision and that's the end of it.
That's it? That's the plan?
That's the plan.
How are you gonna do it?
I have no idea.
A battleground should be designed to create as much of a challenge for the protagonist as possible. And in this case, getting an emotional confession out of the witness is going to be especially hard because of who Kaffee is trapped in the battleground with. Colonel Nathan Jessup. He's smart, skilled at emotional manipulation, and most importantly, he has a completely different value system from, and thus no respect for, Kaffee.
Corporal will take you by personnel on your way out to the flight line, and you can have all the transfer orders that you want. But you have to ask me nicely.
I beg your pardon?
You have to ask me nicely. You see, Danny, I can deal with the bullets and the bombs and the blood. I don't want money, and I don't want medals. What I do want is for you to stand there and with your Harvard mouth extend me some fucking courtesy. You gotta ask me nicely.
Kaffee and Jessup are frozen. Everyone's staring at Kaffee.
Colonel Jessup, if it's not too much trouble, I'd like a copy of the transfer order. Sir.
No problem.
So the final battle is not just about the outcome of the case, it's also a clash of values, and neither opponent is going to give up without a fight. With clear stakes and the battleground established, A Few Good Men adds the final ingredient: increasing pressure. Returning once more to Truby, near the end of the story, the conflict between the hero and opponent intensifies to such a degree that the pressure on the hero becomes almost unbearable. He has fewer and fewer options, and often the space through which he passes literally becomes narrower. As the case in A Few Good Men nears its final day in court, several things go wrong for Kaffee that make it seem impossible for him to win. The most significant being that his key witness chooses to take his own life instead of testifying, leaving Kaffee without the witnesses or proof he needs. And he still can't ask the client's commanding officers whether or not they ordered the code red.
Listen, Danny, when you're out there today, if you feel like he's not gonna say it, don't go for it. I'm special counsel for internal affairs, and I'm telling you, you could get in a lot of trouble.
With the pressure building and Kaffee facing his most formidable opponent yet, the final battle begins.
Defense calls Colonel Nathan Jessup.
In order for the audience to follow the ebb and flow of a battle, we need to understand the weapons the characters can use to fight. In this case, the battle isn't being fought with swords and shields, but with legal weapons. Throughout the film, the screenplay has taken care to introduce every legal weapon at Kaffee's disposal.
Yes, it is.
And in his final confrontation with Jessup, he'll have to use them all to elicit a confession. First, Kaffee tries to knock his opponent off balance with the threat of new witnesses and material evidence that could disprove Jessup's claim that he was transferring the victim, Private Santiago, off the base for his own protection.
I told Kendrick to tell his men that Santiago wasn't to be touched.
And did you give an order to Colonel Markinson as well?
I ordered Markinson to have Santiago transferred off the base immediately.
Why?
I felt his life might be in danger.
Grave danger?
Is there another kind?
Your Honor, these are the Tower Chief's logs for both Guantanamo Bay and Andrews Air Force Base. Defense will be calling Airman Cecil O'Malley and Airman Anthony Rodriguez. They were working the ground crew at Andrews at 2 a.m. on the 7th.
I'll allow the witnesses.
This is ridiculous.
Now that Kaffee has Jessup rattled, he moves on to his next weapon: interrogation and logic.
A moment ago, you said that you ordered Lieutenant Kendrick to tell his men that Santiago wasn't to be touched.
That's right.
And Lieutenant Kendrick was clear on what you wanted?
Crystal.
Any chance Lieutenant Kendrick ignored the order?
We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal.
Kaffee speaks with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're about to drop your opponents.
Colonel, I have just one more question before I call Airman O'Malley and Airman Rodriguez. If you gave an order that Santiago wasn't to be touched,
and your orders are always followed, then why would Santiago be in danger? Why would it be necessary to transfer him off the base?
And Jessup has no answer. Nothing. Now that Kaffee has walked Jessup into a logical trap, he pulls out his last remaining weapon, rhetoric and emotion, in a final attempt to increase the pressure and push Jessup to admit he ordered the code red.
Santiago was a substandard Marine. He was being transferred.
That's not what you said. You said he was being transferred because he was in grave danger.
That's correct.
You said he was in danger. I said grave danger. You said, is there any
recall what I said.
I can have the court reporter read back to you.
I know what I said. I don't have to have it read back to me like I'm...
Why the two orders? Colonel?
Sometimes men take matters into their own hands.
No, sir. You made it clear just a moment ago that your men never take matters in their own hands. Your men follow orders or people die. So Santiago shouldn't have been in any danger at all, should he have, Colonel?
You snotty little bastard.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess.
I'd like an answer to the question, Judge.
The court will wait for an answer.
Having exhausted all his legal weapons, Kaffee decides to risk everything in the battle's crisis and climax, breaking the rules by asking the one question he's not allowed to ask.
Lieutenant Kendrick ordered the code red, didn't he? Because that's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do.
Object! And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose!
Your Honor!
You had markers inside a phony transport! Your Honor! You doctored the logbook!
Damn it, Kaffee!
You coerced the doctor!
Consider yourself in contempt!
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
And nobody moves.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red?
You're goddamn right I did!
Silence from everyone. Randolph, Ross, the MPs, they're all frozen. Kaffee simply takes control of the room now. A Few Good Men is an excellent example of how to establish a battleground, lock the protagonist and antagonist within its boundaries, and turn up the pressure until one of them breaks.
You're under arrest, you son of a bitch. The witness is excused.
But this climax is made meaningful because we understand what's at stake for all the characters involved and the values each side is fighting for. Together, all this creates a war of words that builds to an iconic explosion in the final battle of A Few Good Men. When trying to analyze scripts and films, you have to be able to get inside the creator's head, and I found it's good to practice letting go of your preconceived notions. One way I've gotten better at this is through my slight obsession with Malcolm Gladwell. Many of his books are about why common sense approaches to problems are often ineffective and how best to step into somebody else's shoes. I like listening to his audiobooks because he performs them himself, and the book I want to recommend to you today, Talking to Strangers, is even produced like a podcast, with audio clips of interviews included. So, I highly recommend you check it out on Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, and I use Audible almost every day. They recently launched a new plan, Audible Plus, which gives you full access to their Plus catalog, which is filled with thousands of select originals, audiobooks, podcasts, workouts, and even guided meditations. And now is the best time to try Audible Plus because with their holiday offer, it's only $4.95 a month for your first 6 months. And after 6 months, it's still only $7.95 a month to download and stream the thousands of audiobooks, originals, and podcasts included in the Audible Plus plan. Visit audible.com/LFTS or text LFTS to 500-500 and be sure to check out Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers. I think it will open your mind and make it easier for you to step into somebody else's shoes. Thanks to Audible for sponsoring this video. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'm curious to hear from you, what are some of your favorite courtroom dramas? And have you seen Sorkin's new courtroom drama, The Trial of the Chicago 7 yet? If so, what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you haven't heard yet, I recently launched a second channel here on YouTube called Story Mode, focused entirely on storytelling in video games. So head over to Story Mode and check it out. The link is in the description below. Thank you, as always, to the patrons on Patreon for making Lessons from the Screenplay possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.